Yo, I've never been on Instagram Live, but here I am. What's up, fam?
Oh, well, I feel privileged. We feel
Ah,
privileged that
knock it
we
off.
are breaking you in.
Uh-oh. Breaking me in. All right,
Breaking
now.
you in. We jumping you in. We jumping you into the Instagram
You don't know
game.
nothing about that jumping in, girl.
You know me better than that. You know I know a
Uh,
little something.
a little
Anyway,
bit.
Pete White is my brother from another mother. He is a member of Black Lives Matter Los Angeles. He is the founder and director of Los Angeles Community Action Network, which does some of the best work in the city, in the country, really. And I know that you, when we talking about mutual aid, you've been out there feeding people every day on Skid Row, and organizing folks. So this is part of what we were just talking about. That mutual aid it isn't charity. It's about making sure. You see Jambu in there talking about what you talking about. Pete Melina's from Oakland, right?
She from Beaumont first.
My family's from Beaumont. I'm from Hometown. You know that. But can you talk about the work that you're doing on Skid Row?
Yep.
And, we're tight on time. So we just want you to talk about your work and then talk about how people can plug in.
Yeah, we're just gonna speed date really, really quick. I wanna shout out Tabasile. She dropped off some bags last week in Skid Row. I saw her back as she was departing the office. I just want to shout her out. I think just in terms of this conversation though around mutual aid, Sister Soldier poetess Lila Watson, I think, says it best, right? When she says, and of course I'm paraphrasing, if you've come to help me, turn around and go the other way. If you understand that your fate is tied to mine, let us work together, right? To me, that's the most resilient sort of thoughts for me when I'm thinking about mutual aid. It is not charity. It is about building. The other thing I think that's important in this moment, that we can even pivot our language for black people away from just this mutual aid conversation and just call it what it is. It's survival programs, right? Because when we look
Mm,
at the numbers of black people who are dying, St. Louis, Missouri, 100% of
one
the of
hundred percent.
100% of
Right.
COVID-19 deaths were black folks. Chicago, 70%, right? And so when we look at the numbers that are coming in that are very
Mm,
different from the narrative that the media is portraying, they let us know that Tom Hanks got it, right? They let us know that the Royals got it, and all of that is very misleading to black folks in our community because we like that ain't our disease because them white folks on TV is getting it, not realizing the real numbers. For us, when we think about survival programs, we know for certain we're not going to be able to. None of us doing mutual aid, none of us doing survival programs have the capacity, right, to supplant what
mm-hmm.
government should be doing, right? And
Right.
so for me, there's an element of mutual aid or survival programs that we have to be very clear is about power building, right? We are going to take care of our people. We are going to get people healthy and strong so we can continue to build power as this wave passes over us. That's one. The second thing, though, on the survival program tip, I don't know if folks have been keeping up the news, but the city of Los Angeles, after we've been pressing for 6 weeks, decided to do testing in the houseless community on Six and Gladys. I don't know if y'all know where Six and Gladys is at, but the LA Can headquarters is on Six and Gladys. So
Right.
for some reason, they posted up right in front of our office for the last 4 days, giving me a perfect opportunity to talk to them about what they're looking for. So did they come and tell us they were going to parachute into our community? Of course they did not, right? When they got there, I was like, so what y'all looking for? They said, well, we know we didn't talk to y'all, but we're looking for people who have symptoms. I was like, have symptoms? And what types of symptoms are you talking about, right? And so they were like, people with coughs and this, that, and the other. I was like, well, I've been watching the data, and it's very clear that we have more asymptomatic people who don't present than not. The other
Right.
thing that becomes really important to me when you're talking about vulnerability, if you are not saying black as a category of vulnerability, you are out your mind, out the gate. And then the last thing that was really, really interesting to me, you're in Skid Row, right? You're doing this testing, and you're saying we're testing the elderly. And you give me a number that's 65 years or above, not understanding that we understand that the Department of Public Health, pushed by us, released a mortality report on houseless individuals in Los Angeles and found that the average rate of death for houseless people as a result of systematic and structural racism was 51 years old. And so you're in the
Wow.
communities with this bullshit, and I'm going to say with that bullshit testing, not really trying to get at the real vulnerable folks, right? What have we done really quickly to respond? 7 weeks ago, well, we've been fighting for public health infrastructure in downtown for a decade. We've released two reports, Dirty Divide 1, Dirty Divide 2, which sort of catalogs this line of demarcation that exists between the gentrifying downtown and the old downtown. In the gentrifying downtown, dogs and their owners have parks. Dogs have places they can use the restroom. They get, and I ain't mad at dogs, right? I'm mad at these humans.
Right.
Dogs have doggy water stations, right? But humans do not. And so we've cataloged that not only with the Department of Public Health, but with the United Nations as well, and released a number of reports, right? We knew that when COVID-19 struck, that there was not enough public infrastructure. So what did we do? We looked at the Uganda model around Ebola and the Congolese model, right? And we started building sanitation stations, which we've dropped down, right? And many people was applauding that. And I was like, this shit ain't about applauding. This is about saving lives. We also knew that after we dealt with the sanitation, that we would have to bring in masks. And so we started importing masks from everywhere. Our lazy ass mayor, he was like, we're putting 5,000 masks in Skid Row, where there's 15,000 people. We ain't seen the masks. And so we started importing masks from everywhere to mask everyone up, right? Like, if we're going to have a chance to survive, we need to make sure people can wash their hands and mask up. And then the last thing we knew that a lot of that charity that we were talking about earlier was going to flee downtown Los Angeles. So when people were hoarding their foods and different booster clubs and all of that started departing, the charitable food donations dropped 95%. So what did we have to do?
Wow.
We had to bring food to the people. And so we've brought in public health infrastructure. We've brought in masks, right? We've done that, and we've brought in food. But we're not doing that thinking that we have the capacity to hold it down for everyone that needs it. What we're trying to do is build the power necessary to make the government push out the resources. The last thing I'll say, because that the survival programs is just one piece of the work, the organizing continues, right?
Right.
And so for us, there's all this conversation going around about hotels, right? And, someone taught me a long time ago, believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. And so I'm sure folks who are online right now, they hear the mayor saying, we're trying to get hotel rooms. Well, behind the scenes, what we're doing, we're pushing. So just so folks know, all of the new hotels that have been built in Los Angeles since 2005 have $1 billion in tax subsidies by way of hotel taxes. Right? And so when you go in, usually what happens when you go into a hotel, they have this little thing on your bill called a TOT tax. That tax is supposed to go into a fund to build housing. However, in Los Angeles, our selected, not our elected leaders, said, no, hotels, we know it's difficult to do business. You keep all those taxes for 25 years. We have given $1 billion. That's our money. $1 billion in tax subsidies. We're saying open up all those hotel rooms. We're saying open up all public buildings because they are ours. And that's what we're doing.
And ain't nobody staying there anyway.
No, exactly.
Right.
And just because I don't want to rob Billion of his time, you can find us in a couple of places. SkidRowPower.com. You could find us at Los Angeles Community Action Network on Facebook. A gang of content is there, Instructables. And on Twitter, You can find us, LA Can Network, and you can find us our website, www.congress.org. We need your help. We need your resources. We need more bodies on the front lines. We've been on the front lines since this shit kicked. We ain't going nowhere.
Great. And can you type all that into the comments too, Pete?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yes, I
Love
can.
you. Appreciate you.
Love you. Appreciate you, back.